Well, hello, chaps and chappets. Welcome to the Quantum Quiz. The Quantum Quiz is that mysterious monster which will creep up behind you.
You're in the jungle.
Bite you in the butt. I'm going to have to just introduce you.
Oh, sorry. I was being attacked by a lion then. Thank you for introducing me, Barry. You helped me escape from the jungle menace. Theatre of the mind.
Okay. Psychedelic theatre of the mind. I need to turn you up. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you a good friend of mine, someone that always makes me laugh and someone that I always look up to and dream about. And that's
because I'm slightly taller. That's why. So there's a lot of people, because we're working class men from the 1970s, so our nutrition was appalling. So we didn't grow very much. So there's quite a few people who look down upon us. But Barry, as he's a bit of a munchkin, looks up to me. And I feel very flattered anytime I'm with him.
Yeah, that's normally because you stood on a pile of beer crates, and so I have to look up at you because you.
I consider that the bones of my vanquished foe, Baz.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ben Maddox, who is joining me to take this quantum quiz. He has some stuff to tell you about his 5 games till doomsday, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to do that later on.
I mean, it's the only reason I'm bloody here, Baz, if I'm honest. But you know, we'll go through the boring stuff till we get to the gold. It's better to trudge through a field of boring to get to a beautiful castle than. And this is where the metaphor breaks down, so I'll allow you to carry on.
All right, the metaphor should go get through the intro and the verse just to get to the chorus.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's the intro. We're going to do
chorus.
We're going to do the chorus now. So if you're new to the Quantum Quiz is I take our guest and I put them into the shoes of Sam Beckett. And if you don't know Sam Beckett is the guy who travels through time in quantum leap, changing or not changing history to try and make the world a better place. And in today's show, Ben is going to be Sam Beckett. And Sam is going to be zooming off into the past. And we're going to see, number one, if he's going to change history and corrupt it to his own volition, or if he's just going to jump into people's shoes and see the world through their eyes because he admires them. So
yeah, I've got a point of order though, Baz, before we start. So is it full quantum leap where I assume the ambulatory and intellectual motions of the person, or can I just sit back into their psyche and just watch them get about their daily lives? I think this is a legitimate question, and if you haven't been asked it already,
no, I haven't. Out of the 472 guests that I've had on the show, none of them have asked Ben.
Well, none of them are as clever as I am.
Exactly. Okay, so you are jumping into their shoes and you manipulate them, much like Sam Beckett does.
Right.
Okay.
Can I feel what it is to be inside their brains, though?
I'll leave that up to you. So basically, my synopsis is, my example is, I could jump back in time to Paul McCartney.
Right,
quantum leaping, and I could do that to either watch John Lennon write songs and admire how he writes songs and take that back to when I come back, if I come back into my body,
right,
to implement that into songwriting, or I could go back there and kind of like befuddle the songs so the Beatles never become famous.
And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to steal joy from people?
I don't want to steal joy for people. Maybe like that film. There's a new film that come out where what happened if the Beatles didn't exist?
Yeah,
and then this guy starts singing these songs, which are the Beatles songs, and nobody's heard of them. And so,
I mean, stealing a well-loved concept and using it to your own ends is something I would never get involved with, Barry.
Well, we're going to find out now. Right, you're jumping back in time with our first question. Our first question is, if you go back in time, you can slip into the body of someone from the musical industry. Who would it be and why?
Well, I had to think about this, and I wanted to be someone from a different era, so I could see a different part of history. But I also wanted someone who was a genius. But I also wanted someone whose life was full of incidents. So I could have been Bach, but he just seemed to sit in a dusty old room in Leipzig and write about Jesus. And, I could have been Beethoven, but I like hearing the birds twitter. So I've gone for, rather obvious as it is, but he had a hell of a life. He burnt bright and he died young. Mozart.
Very nice.
Because I think Habsburg Vienna would have been a hell of a place to bum around in.
Yeah.
God,
Okay.
I mean, if you're running around with the high society, it's an age of complete decadence and indulgence and sort of arbitrary law of the emperor. So you can do what you want, be what you want, eat what you want, sleep with who you want to sleep with. It is
Game of Thrones.
Full freedom. Yeah, but a bit classier, less dirty. I assume people wash a bit more.
Yeah. I'm just looking up Mozart on Wikipedia because I can't just go, oh yes, do you know Mozart's bloody 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 blah? That's my favorite song. I can't just do that. I know the melodies, but
well, Eine kleine Nachtmusik was one of his.
Yeah,
which means a little night music.
Okay, I thought it was like a Kraftwerk song there.
No. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, one of his.
Oh yeah, and that's developed into a musical of some sort.
Wrote that when he was like 5 or whatever. And I think it's really super interesting about Mozart, right, is he was a child star. He was kind of like Will Wheaton, but with talent, right? And so he was...
you're going to say Hanson.
But he was... who knows? But, he was sort of farmed out by his dad because he was a complete and utter genius. Mm-hmm. And, I would love... Because I am nothing if I'm not a walking well of mediocrity. So I would love to be able to just sit back in the brain of a genius and see how that operates and see how brilliance is transferred from the finger to the page to the ear, seemingly, if we believe what we're told to believe, with effortlessness. And I would also like to know who the black man was who commissioned Mozart's Requiem and whether it was Salieri who poisoned him to death and all of that stuff. Mozart's life is a wonderful, wonderful mystery. And rather than change it, I would like to just watch it unfold in real time.
Okay, so you jump into Mozart or maybe Mozart's dad or just to watch?
No, I jump into Mozart. I mean, Mozart's dad dies when he's fairly young, I think. Okay. But, it's a whole life spent as an outsider, yet walking in the circles of the most elevated people of the time. And it's, super interesting, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I wouldn't have expected that from you. I was expecting something like Jethro Tull.
I'm not a big fan of a 70s classic rock, if I'm honest.
No?
Although recently I've got a little bit obsessed with Roundabout by Yes, which means I'm definitely middle-aged. Because if I'm listening to progressive rock, Barry, I'm middle-aged.
You are indeed.
But it's a great song. Anyone who's watching this, Roundabout by Yes is an amazing tune. The bass line is probably the best bass line in modern music.
Better than Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, you've got to listen to it. When this show ends, go and listen to it. It's much better than
I will dig it up. I will dig up because I like 901-247 R2D2. So, yes.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but yes, I agree with you.
Okay, the next question for Ben is he's going to jump into someone who has shaped the board gaming spheres, the board gaming realms. But he's not just going to tell me who it is. This is where he gets a pen and a piece of paper. And he does.
And we had a little argument. We had a little argument before the show went up. And he said, have you got a pen and a piece of paper? And I said, no. And he said, you haven't prepared. And what's the result? I've got a pen and a piece of paper. I don't need this kind of accusation.
Well, you sat on the toilet, so the paper is quite handy, and the pen was probably from your Sudoku that you were doing while you were having.
This is my commode cum studio, Barry. Very nice, very comfortable.
So I'll let Ben draw an image, and while he's doing that, you can watch his brain. I don't know what his brain's going to do. If you see like pink stuff seeping out from his headphones, we know that he's thinking too much. So he's going to draw something kind of Pictionary style on a board game or someone in the board game realm. And I have to guess. And you can guess this too. You can write in the comments like Earth did with his wonderful South Park logo there. Nice to see you.
Hello, Ulf. I'll
Ulf.
be seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Ooh. Oh, yes. Essen in a couple of weeks.
Essen Spiel.
Oh,
all right, there we go, Baz. There we go.
Okay.
You see that? You see that?
Right. So we
Not
have.
really see that. It's.
Hold it still. That's a moon.
Yeah.
With some stars around it. And at the top says, remember to phone mum.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So, okay. So.
0898 666 666, Baz. That's going to be a joke only people from the 80s are going to guess.
They are indeed. So, anyone have any guesses of what this game could be? I'm gonna say
it's a person.
It's a person. Oh, okay.
You told me it was supposed to be a person.
Yeah, okay, that's a person. But you know, the game could be related to the designer or the publisher.
It's really bloody obvious.
It is.
Hang on. No.
I know what it is. He's gonna do it. He likes to do this. He likes to torment me. With a train. There's now a train next to the moon, which means that it is Alan Moon.
You know what, Baz? You know why I chose that one?
Go on, enlighten us. Why?
Because it was easy to draw for someone to guess. No particular reverence for Alan Moon particularly. Ticket to Ride's fine, but that was easy to draw for someone to guess.
Okay, too late. Snap of the fingers. You're in Alan Moon's body. What are you doing?
Oh, suddenly I'm incredibly wealthy.
This is where theatre comes in play.
No, at this point, I'm eating foie gras. I'm going to basketball matches. He's American, right? So that's what they do.
No, he's not. Do you know where he was born?
Or is he Canadian?
No. He was born in Southampton, mate. Where I would be.
British, Alan Moon?
Yeah, he was born in Southampton.
Well, are you going to make me Google this, Baz?
You can Google it to your heart. He was born in Southampton, and as a child, they moved to America.
Ah, he lives in America, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he lives in America.
Because he speaks with an American accent, doesn't he?
I never heard him speak. I always wanted to talk to him about what it was like in Hill Lane back in the day. And
so he says here, Alan R. Moon, born 18th of November, 1951, is an author of board games, born in Southampton, England. Did I not say he wasn't American, that he was English and he was born in Southampton?
You said that Fuzzy Wuzzy was a woman.
Well, apparently, I watched the sequel to that, and apparently Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he?
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. See no evil, hear no evil too. I remember that one.
Yeah, and if I'm Alan Moon, Barry,
yes,
I will finally be able to go to the gathering of friends.
Ah,
because apparently there's this arcane induction ceremony in which you have to be invited and then ratified, and if you don't get ratified, they don't let you in. And I'm an objectively objectionable human being, so I'm never going to get invited. But if I was Alan Moon, Baz, I'd strut in and go, "Hello, this is my convention. I'll have those guinea fowl, please." That's how people speak from Southampton, right?
Yes, they do. We have.
All right, my lover. Oh, take the ride. I took the ride, didn't I? Give me all the monies.
And all your hugs and kisses too.
Where is Southampton, Barry?
Southampton. It's in between. It's in the south middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle. You know where?
Actually, someone spoke to me about Southampton the other day, and I assumed they asked me how it was, and I said, "Well, it's probably horrible because it's a British coastal town." And if it's not Bournemouth or Brighton, it's essentially horrible. How is Southampton? Is it vile?
It's getting there. I don't like going back there now for some reason.
Well, you're a Frenchie. You just don't like good quality, great British towns.
I did like great British towns when they were filled with those high streets full of music shops and game shops. Now it's all handbags and phones and shoes.
Are you all gutted you can't get red wine on your chips in the chippy? Chevrolet chips, monsieur.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, we don't speak languages like that in here. Ooh, enculé. Is that
Oh,
French?
that's the only reason that I go
Did I-
back to England.
Did I say naughty in French?
You said naughty in French.
But no one who understands French is going to watch this. That's okay.
No, that's all right. Half of my friends on Facebook are French, so they're probably
Bonjour.
they're laughing their heads off.
Do you remember, Barry,
Go on.
that advert? It was a British gas advert, I think in the 80s. And there was like a French chef, and he went to like a place in Barnsley, and they had a gas cooker, and he cooked something on their cooker, and the French chef sort of went, "Ah, and here is your food," and the bloke from Barnsley ate it and went, "Oh, très bon, Raymond." Do you remember that?
Yeah, that end bit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't-
What else happened in the advert? I don't know, but I mentioned that to someone recently, and they were like, "I have no idea what you're talking about, you old freak." Accrington Stanley. Who are they?
Yeah, that's the one I remember the most. Yes.
The 80s, Barry.
Oh, I know. When
That was one of the lads from Grange Hill in that advert, you know?
Oh no. Everyone was in Grange Hill.
Yeah. Mark from EastEnders was in Grange Hill, wasn't
Yeah, and so was the other one. Yeah. Lots of them were. And then where are they now? Ha ha ha.
he? Well, Mark's in EastEnders, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Why Ben's got nothing on his wall? Why no shelves? What's wrong?
This is my contemplative chamber. This is where I sit to ponder the endless nothingness that is the universe and occasionally talk to Barry.
And yes, and that's probably the home, and that's probably a good point to lead you into what do you do, Ben? That's your studio, yes? That's where you record your wonderful podcast, 5 Games Till Doomsday.
I mean, it'd be lovely if you got the title right, Baz. But that's okay. I mean,
Okay.
you've done your research.
2
so that's
games
fine.
till all right. 5 GFD, something like that.
5 games for Doomsday, Barry.
Oh right, it's 4. It's not till.
Yeah, exactly. Because till implies Doomsday isn't happening within the conceptual framework of the show, whereas actually it's about Doomsday.
Why not after Doomsday? What is this show then?
All right, so
Tell us about
basically, this is a show in which I speak to board game celebrities, including the honourable Bard of board games, Barry Dublé.
Uh-huh.
And basically, the apocalypse is coming. You're fleeing your home. We take for granted that your family and your pets are safe, but you can only take 5 of your games with you. Which 5 do you take? And through this process, I get to speak to various people and find out about their lives, not just their lives within gaming, but outside of gaming, and how those 5 games inform, their sort of outlook on the world. Also, I write reviews about games, and also I have another show called The Guild as well, where people go on my BGG guild, they make comments to a question, and me and a guest discuss them. So yeah, I've interviewed lots of super duper people, basically. Rainer Knizia, and who else, Barry? Mark Herman, and Richard Garfield, and Ignacy Trevicek, Barry Dublé.
Me, you run scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Well, the wine cask, and loads of people. And so I talk about a varied range of things, So I spoke with a guy who's a really great RPG live play podcaster. And he's been quite upfront about his mental health issues and that he was planning his suicide. And so we talked about that and how he was rescued and brought back from the brink. And I've got an upcoming interview with Rob Davio, and we talk about why Seafall wasn't as successful as it could have been. And, Mark Herman was Edward Snowden's boss briefly. So we talk about Edward Snowden and the implications for that. And it's my hope that, I guess, that I want to not decouple the board game people from board games, but make them a little bit more three-dimensional as human beings. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
And you do that really well. I mean, I haven't listened to every single one that you've done, but the 30 odd that I have listened to, they're
I'm very
really,
surprised,
really
Barry. I'm very surprised considering your encyclopedic knowledge of the title of the show. I'd assumed you would have listened to everything.
Well, it's like the bike tower. I always watch their videos as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite interview that I've done, Barry?
You interviewed the designer for Quirkle. I can't remember her name.
No, I didn't.
Okay, that was someone else.
I wrote to her, and she never wrote to me back. But no, I didn't interview the designer of Quirkle.
No, you interviewed Renegade Games. I can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names.
Who?
Renegade Games.
No.
Ali, let's change the subject. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on. Cut to commercial.
This video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
There you go.
Oh my god! I had this horrible dream that I was on a show with someone who'd done no research whatsoever. Oh god! I've woken up from that, Barry.
Okay, I want to talk a bit more about you in a second, actually. Because I've been on the Internet Movie Database, and you're actually on the Internet Movie Database.
I've got a few credits on there, yeah.
You have. The first time that I saw, you only had one credit, but now you've got a number of
I do bits and bats.
Yes, which is quite interesting. I mean, it's... I'm just like, I've got to see this film. I want to see him acting.
I mean, you don't want to see any of the films I'm in; they're rubbish. But
I thought they might be. I mean,
I
want to see you acting still because I've always admired you from afar. The way that you talk, the way that you kind of get into character when we meet at Essen or any other place.
That's. I'll do a couple of characters now. Free acting for you, Barry.
Okay.
But I haven't interviewed the Quirkle woman. Think, Baz.
I am terrible. I know. I never do research.
Why bother?
Yeah, I am Donald Trump of the board gaming world.
Except your hair's better.
Yeah, my hair is better. We're going to move on to the next question, which is here's now going to quantum leap into someone from the TV and movie industry. And what I want to know is, what we're going to find out, because we're going to play this game show style again, is who it would be. And obviously, what I want to tie in with this is the fact that this TV show or movie is going to be related to a game that you would like to see made on this license.
Okay, well, I'm going to cheat a bit here.
Okay.
It's not going to be a board game. It's going to be an RPG.
Okay, that's fine by me. Okay.
No.
So what you're going to do is you're going to give me 5 one-word clues, which will point me to a director or an actor or a character that was in this thing, TV show or movie that you would like to see, or it's a role-playing game, that you'd like to see made into a board game.
So, a role-playing game I'd like to see made into a board game.
Yeah, but through a film.
Okay, we're good. I'm straight. Yeah. I'm straight on your nonsense. All right. Yeah, Overlook is the first clue.
Overlook. Okay. Obviously, it's an RPG which has been overlooked. And that's why it's not been made into a board game. I don't know. Clue number 2.
Clue number 2. Johnny.
Now, is that the American Johnny or was that the English Johnny? Someone saying The Shining.
Is he right, Barry?
I don't know. Overlook. Oh, that Overlook Hotel. Yes, Johnny.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, thank you very much for your help.
Well done, Ulf. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
So, is this where I pitch the game?
Yeah, this is where you pitch the game, the board game about The Shining.
What you've got is it's a 2-player RPG, right? 1 DM one player. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you get the job at the Overlook Hotel. And basically, you will become progressively mad throughout the game. And there's a mechanic that will either takes away sanity points or it adds madness and delusion points. And basically, the game is one session that leads you through from sanity to madness. And you know that you will always get to madness at the end. That is inevitable. Mm-hmm. But the journey can be completely different. And you could end up becoming someone who is blissfully, idiotically happy at the end, or like the movie, psychotically murderous. You could end up dying at the end. You could end up surviving. You could end up slaughtering your whole family or brainwashing your entire family into becoming part of your insane madness cult. And that's the way the game plays, and it can be different every time. And I think that would be, I'm thinking a lot that a few sort of 1-2 player RPGs have come out recently. And I think that's a really nice idea. And RPGs are a real pain in the arse because you can never get the group together regularly. Whereas a 2-player RPG would be brilliant. And on The Shining, that sort of exploration of sanity and madness and what it takes to make your character mad is a super place to explore, I think.
Okay, so the player is playing a caretaker of the Overlook Hotel, and then the DM is all the phantoms and memories.
Exactly. You play the hotel.
Okay.
The DM plays the hotel, and you play Jack Torrance. This is if you take the idea that the Overlook Hotel in the movie is the malign presence itself, right?
Yeah. Again, that could be transferred into a multiplayer RPG and call it the Amityville Horror, where one player is the DM, the house, who is talking to one of the players, but nobody knows which player it is, and that player's got to kill his family. Right. It's a bit psychotic. This is I mean, this time of day.
The thing is, I'm very suspicious of because I played a game last year, called Alone.
Okay.
Where
the board game from
board game where they swapped the premise of a dungeon crawler around. It wasn't any longer one against many; it was many against one. Mm-hmm. And you'd think, well, that idea is great, but I didn't enjoy it for 2 reasons. One was that actually what that dungeon master role, the reason it has maintained a sort of singular role for 40 years is because it's one person's role. And so in Alone, it sort of split one person's role into 3. Mm-hmm. So you find that those players behind the screen find themselves doing a third of an activity, which wasn't very good. And then secondly, there's then a lot of bickering by the people behind the screen. I've got this great card. And they had this one mechanic, which is like the people behind the screen can't show each other the cards. And the idea was that you would have to discuss with your fellow evil people why this card was good without giving stuff away, and you would giving stuff across to the player and they would be able to. But actually what it resulted in was going, no, I think I should go. I've got this great card. And someone would go, no, but I've got this great card. No, but I've got this great card. And I got this great card. Well, what's on the card? I can't tell you. Here, listen to me. And so it became very frustrating and very fractious. I'm very suspicious about many against one games.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting. It worked in a way because you're not allowed to talk. But the thing is, if you have an idea about where a monster's going to move, you can't really... This is the thing that I like about it in regards to the other way around is you can't really talk openly about, let's move the big giant monster to that space there because there are only 2 spaces. You can't say that out loud. Which is great because then it becomes a matter of communication. I mean, maybe another facet.
Maybe you've got a better group than me, but I played it a number of times before I reviewed it, and I came up to the same problem. People just didn't want to talk, but they also wanted to assert that their strategy was the best. Now, if you can have a reasoned argument about that, that's fine. But if you can't, if you just go, no, trust me, and you've got 3 people doing that, the game never bloody goes anywhere.
Yeah. I can see that. I'm normally the pacifier in the middle when I'm playing, because I always find it easier to teach the game as the bad guy. You can't really teach it as the good guy, because if you're the good guy teaching the game to the bad people, that's another problem. But I do like the mechanics. I reckon it's best with 2 evil players
I think it's
one.
I think it's a 2-player game. I think it's a 2-player game that has had, and I think they probably came up with the concept first and thought, this is super clever. We're twisting this concept on the head. It's good with 2 players.
Yeah.
But it's just not with any more than 2. It's a 2-player game.
Okay.
And so I was disappointed conceptually with it. But I don't. And so while your Amityville horror idea sounds great, I would be suspicious of it.
I know. I was just like at spur of the moment. I'm like that. I just spitball.
Well, you've got a very creative brain, Barry.
I can be creative.
Not very retentive when it comes to titles of podcasts or guests that have been on that podcast, but very creative, nevertheless.
I've got a gaming group that I started a couple of years ago. There's still people that turn up and I don't know their names. They're coming tonight, and I'm like, "Yeah, hey, you, how you doing?" And it's like,
they're going to be dead one day, Barry. So you don't need to remember their names. It's unimportant.
I'm going to be dead one day, and I won't need to remember them. Yeah,
not me. I'm getting uploaded to the cloud.
Okay. So now we're going to jump into the last question that I'm going to pose to you, my thespian friend. The last person you jump into could be anyone that you wish. Who would it be and why?
Now, I'm jumping into this person just because I want to talk about this person. And I want to talk about this person because we are going through very interesting times at the moment. Okay. And there is a malign, self-interested government currently in Britain that is seeking to dismantle the one thing Britain should be absolutely universally proud of. They do it better than Germany. They do it better than the Scandinavian countries. And this is the NHS. The NHS is the true jewel in Britain's crown. It is something that says no matter what position you are in society, you will be able to be treated by a doctor in a hospital. Now, the person I'm going to jump into is Aneurin Bevan. Are you familiar with Aneurin Bevan?
Considering I haven't watched the BBC News since about midday today, no.
So Aneurin Bevan, Nye Bevan, there is a statue of him in the main high street in Cardiff, and there should be statues of him outside every hospital in the country. There should be statues of him in every town square in the country. He's probably the greatest British person of the 20th century. He was a Welsh MP, and he was the man who started the National Health Service in the Attlee government after the Second World War, when Britain came to their senses and voted out that pompous, racist Winston Churchill. And they voted in a compassionate socialist government that said we need to fix the problems that the Tories have instigated in this country. So they brought in education for children. They brought in school meals, things like this. And fundamentally, through Aneurin Bevan, they started the NHS. He is a great man and he needs to be remembered more. Every British person should see him as a great hero, not that colonist, overeating, fat, racist pig that currently sits on the back of the £10 note. I thank you.
Wow.
Winston Churchill was a pig, and we should not idolize that pig.
That's not the only time that I've heard that. There's a lot of people that don't like people on notes due to the fact that they introduced slavery, or they did.
He slaughtered people all over the world, that man. He condoned the colonization of foreign countries. He hated the poor back in his land. This was a man who was born in a stately home, who sought through his entire life to keep the aristocracy on top and to keep the working classes down. Winston Churchill is a con. He is a myth that is perpetrated by Tories in Britain. Aneurin Bevan is the man. Aneurin Bevan, the greatest British man of the 20th century.
Wow. That's really, really profound as I can get out. I mean, last week, Jacques Chirac passed away.
Right.
And it wasn't till he passed away that, I myself, because it was all over the news here in France, we're finding out all these things that he created in his presidency. And, yes, he was a commoner. Again, he was very much agricultural, very much for the farmers, and did his best to, because at the end of the day, the farmers are the base of your civilization. When you play a civilization game, you always start by harvesting wood and grain before you can build the castle and the knights. And he knew that. And so he looked after them. He created the art galleries. He was very kind. He was very into Chinese and Japanese history. He created a news channel where it's not just let's talk about what's going on in France, called France 24, and he did it in 4 languages. And it's amazing that there are people that obviously do live up to their hype that we passed on from word of mouth over the time, but there are these people that have been hidden from plain sight because we're not educated. I was never educated about that.
We live in a time where we have been convinced that working for the benefit of corporations is the way that we are good citizens. With 0-hour contracts, with the erosion of any labor laws, the working classes are again being turned into a class of serfs. Boris Johnson wants the working classes to leave school at 14, work until 50, and drop dead. That's what these people want. They want them to be consistently scared that they will lose their jobs, so they will not protest the terrible conditions that most working class people are forced to work in. Since the Tories got into power, food banks have exploded. The country is on its arse. Brexit has been treated like a ball to kick around and a game to play to put money in Jacob Rees-Mogg's pocket. We need people like Aneurin Bevan, strong, working-class socialist politicians to stand there and say, no, enough is enough. Everyone, from the richest man in a top hat to the poorest man in hobnailed boots, deserves dignity, deserves security, and deserves a share of the wealth they create.
Yeah. And I think that can be said about a lot of countries at the moment. There are so many protests, like in China at the moment. The Americans are doing a lot of protesting. There's protesting. It's died off here a bit in France. There was the yellow vest protests, which were against the taxes of fuels going up. But now it's about the right to purchase because people are not earning enough income to just buy a little luxury every now and again. And it seems like that's happening worldwide.
We've seen it in the board game world, to bring it back to our sort of little village in which we live, right?
Yeah.
The Kickstarter thing, them firing people for wanting unions, refusing to unionize. And then they come onto Twitter and they say, well, the reason we're not unionizing is because we don't feel that we operate as a country the company that requires a union. Well, the point is unions are preventative. You don't form a union when things are bad. You form a union when things are good, so you prevent them becoming bad, right? And anyone who has a problem with workers asserting their rights is instantly suspicious, and we should boycott them. We operate in a market economy, so therefore we should use the tools of the market economy to improve the lot of all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Or we could just bury ourselves in our boxes and moan about not baggies in the box, so you can put your wooden chits in and complain about the artwork not being very good.
Don't back Kickstarters, and don't back Kickstarters if they go on the Kickstarter platform. I mean, it's as simple as that. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Until Kickstarter retracts, it's only us that can exert the pressure. They have proven by firing the people in their company that the people in the company can't exert the pressure. Well, then it becomes beholden on us, on their behalf, to exert the pressure. Don't back any Kickstarters.
The world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Tell you.
Yes. And I'm going to have to bring this show to a close.
No, Barry.
I know. politics blows my mind. I just sit here and watch CNN and BBC and France 24 whenever I can, and just watch all these really dismal scenes like Turkey about being invade, and it's a sad state of affairs. I just want to cry and just
right-wing parties hate us, Barry. They want us dead. They want our Labour and they want us dead.
Yeah. Maybe.
Vote Ben Maddox.
But I'm going to. We need someone compassionate who has worked his way through the ranks.
I'm not compassionate. I hate people.
I know you do. You like
Vote
beer.
me. I want some money.
I want some beer. So all that remains for me to do is thank you, Ben, for coming on the show.
It was a pleasure, Pat. What podcast am I from again?
You're from Doomsday is coming because Trump is in charge of everything going pants. Podcast. .com. my ad libs are terrible. They're going to shut us down. You know that we're going to be impeached from Facebook.
I mean, dangerous.
So, where can people find you, Ben?
Right now, I've got to remember all of my marketing bits. So, website, you can access all the interviews, all the reviews, all the guild stuff, lots of top-notch stuff with, sod being modest. I do the best stuff in the board game media world. And that's at 5gamesfordoomsday.com. You can follow me on Twitter at 5 the number games 4 the number Doomsday. I have a Facebook page. I have a guild on Board Game Geek. I know the website's a bit rough. I just don't pay for it. There's lots of good stuff. I recently wrote something on reviews and what I think the role of the reviewer is. And yes, it is as pompous as it sounds. This month, my interviews are with 2 bona fide legends in the world of gaming, and both of them have had intimate connections with Cthulhu games. So I thought it might be nice to have them as the Halloween month guests. Right. There will be great Essen coverage coming up this month, of course, because it's Essen this month, and loads of good stuff. Frankly, I don't get paid a tenth of what I should be earning for stuff that's as good as that.
Yes, and it is good. Everything that I hear is always good when it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, that Quirker woman interview was amazing.
It blew my mind. It made me quit eating cakes, and now I'm nothing but biscuits, man, now.
Exactly.
So...
Actually, sorry, before we hang up...
Go on, then.
I'm being crudely maligned on this, right? So, the story is, I was at Essen last year or the year before, and I was asking some people questions, right? And the question was, if you could only have one for the rest of your life, what would you have? Biscuits or cakes? Well, the answer is obvious. It's biscuits. But people started accusing me of being anti-cake. I'm not anti-cake. I like cake. But if it's a choice between losing cake or biscuits for all eternity, I'm losing cake because biscuits are demonstrably better.
Okay.
Right?
So you should have gone back in time as Sam Beckett into whoever created cakes and
Mr.
made
Kipling.
them not... you should have gone back into Mr. Kipling and said, I'm going to set up a shoe factory and make shoes.
A shoe factory?
A shoe factory.
I thought you swore then.
Mr. Kipling's shoes.
No, Mr. Kipling's cakes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you go back in time and make him divert from making cakes. Therefore, cakes wouldn't be popular, and you'd win your argument that biscuits
I like
are best.
Cakes.
Ah!
You do it. I like cakes.
That was
I've got nothing against cakes.
That was 3 years ago at Essen. We had that conversation.
Cruelly maligned over my hatred of cakes. I'm all right with cakes. Don't accuse me of something I'm not guilty of.
I'm impeached, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Mr. Kipling's cherry bakewells are amazing. By the way.
They are. I'm still...
And their almond slices. Oh, bloody hell.
They're my favourites. I get them every time.
The almond slices?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Yeah, can't get them here, though. Mr. Kipling's does not exist
No. Don't go across the channel. He's very Brexit, Mr. Kipling.
Yeah, I know. They're going to be more expensive next month.
I mean, the insulin slices are going to go crazy up in price. You know what I mean? Thanks, Boris.
Yeah. So all that remains for me to do now is say thanks for watching. Ciao for now. Remember, you can always go and check out the reviews, the board game music, the board game podcasts at boardgameseverybodyshould.com. And then we click this button. Ciao for now.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games.